Hi, I'm Gotham. I'm a product manager here at Kaiterra, and I'm going to show you today one of the new tools we built called the Underventilated Spaces tool. And it's a really cool way to identify spaces in your portfolio that are potentially underventilated. And we're using the measure of carbon dioxide as a proxy for ventilation. CO2 is produced by people or animals, and it accumulates in spaces that have inadequate ventilation. Ventilation is the exchange of fresh air coming into a room, either by mechanical ventilation, forced air, or natural ventilation, windows, doors, and such, and circulation of air in the room. So CO2 is a good proxy for ventilation, the performance of ventilation. And we give you the power and the flexibility to define uh, what you consider a poor amount of CO2 in a space. So you can control the level of CO2 that you consider is inadequate. Um, the default is 900 parts per million, which is based on healthy building standards for the well-being of the occupants. But if you want to change it to something that maybe your HVAC system was designed for, or maybe the regulatory recommendation is different in your part of the world, you can. So you can increase it, let's say, to 1,000 parts per million. And you can see that the count of underventilated spaces in my portfolio has updated accordingly. So when you load this tool, you can select whatever time frame you like to to count how many underventilated spaces there are, and it defaults to 30 days, but you can choose anything. You can also compare it with a previous period. So right now I have it 30 and 30. So this is the count of spaces with poor ventilation, poor high amounts of CO2 in the last 30 days, but the previous 30 days to this period I can also see, and that gives me a sense of, are things getting better or worse? And you can change the time frame you like. It's like it could be a whole quarter if you like, and this gives you a sense of change or improvement. So what is considered, what do we consider under ventilated space? Well, you need to have 1 hour, one operating hour, at least 1 hour at or above your threshold for poor, and then it will get counted. It's as simple as that. So when you set your threshold and set your time frames, and just a note here, your operating hours can be set to whatever you like. I've got it set 10 to 3 and Tuesday through Thursday because those are the hybrid work environment. Those are the most occupied times of spaces. I want to see the worst of the worst. I want to concentrate in that time period. So once you've generated your list of underventilated spaces, again, meaning at least 1 hour at 1,000 ppm or higher CO2, then you want to see a stack rank the list of all the spaces. What is the worst space? So in this case, I can see here in the Kaiterra headquarters, the marketing office. If I had a lot of buildings here in this table, which is a stack rank of all my poorly or underventilated spaces in order of worst to best, and the determining factor here is the percent time. So the marketing office has the most time above 1,000 ppm, and it's 50% of the time. 50% of the time between 10 and 2, Tuesday through Thursday, the air is above 1,000 parts per million. You can see here the average is 1,000. So already the average is above the threshold for bad. The 90th percentile, 15, and the max reading, the peak CO2 is about 1,800 parts per million. So pretty bad. If I had a lot of buildings here, I could just filter this quickly. We only have 5 buildings in this portfolio, so I'm just going to look at Kaiterra headquarters, and let's look at the marketing office in particular. So this is the last 30 days, 51% of the time, over half that the CO2 during those hours is over 1000 parts per million. And when you select a row in this table, you'll see that to help you identify patterns, we provide you with a heat map here. And the heat map is going to show you 24/7 time. 24/7 time is better for spotting patterns. We're not just showing you the occupied hours that you put for this analysis. We want to show you the whole day and the whole week normalized for the days of the week, so you can see if there's a recurring pattern. And here, really quickly, I mean, I can see a pattern. I can see that, of course, CO2 is fine in the middle of the night and no one's in the office. But it starts to build up around 8 a.m. So people start arriving at 8. And then this room, the marketing office, is being used every day. And it looks like it's being used at the beginning of the day all the way until 3-4 p.m. every day. And it's taking hours for the CO2 to come down. That is too long. So that's an indication of inadequate ventilation there. So, as an office manager or a building manager, I could look at this data and think of ways that I can help my colleagues here with decreasing the CO2. How would I do that? So in this case, in our office, it is natural ventilation. So there's nothing with the HVAC that I could do, but I could say, keep the door open of the marketing office. I could say limit how many people are in this room. So I can put a sign up saying, this room is designed for 2 people max. And if 4 people are using it all the time, that's definitely a root cause of high CO2. And there is a window in there, so I would make sure that is at least having a crack that's open, or opening as wide as possible, so that we can get more fresh air in there. Depending on the outdoor temperature, would determine how wide you want to open it. And those are the steps I could take. And once I put that in, I could see if this is improving over time or not. So I could come back and look at this report again and look at when I made those changes, the before and after. This change column here already tells me that this is actually 22% better than the previous 30 days. So it's not as bad as it was the previous month, basically. So it is getting better, but obviously it's still super bad at more than half the time. And then this graph below is the last 30 days of peak CO2, max CO2 measured on those days. So this gives you an indication of maybe there was an event or a particular meeting. This helps you kind of pin down what that might be, because you might know, your company's calendar, and you could correlate these high readings, these peak CO2 readings, for events in the calendar. And so that might give you more clues on what might be happening in that space, if there's overcrowding, if there was an event, or if you knew that there was more people than usual coming in. And just to take a look at how often, when the CO2 is bad, just how high is it getting, basically. So this gives you a sense. It's pretty bad. Like in the last 30 days, I can see 10 times that the air is getting over the threshold of poor. So really quickly, like this report allows you to stack rank every building in your portfolio to see how many spaces are potentially underventilated, and then find those spaces, look for patterns, and give you clues to take action. So hope that helps, and let us know your feedback. Thank you.